Hi, this is Ed Dollister.
And this is Mitch Halleck.
And welcome to episode 6 of Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. This week, we're going to be tackling the phenomenon of drive-in movies and how can we recreate that in sort of quarantine. So we've got some ideas for you. How you been, Mitch?
I've been doing all right, Ed. I mean, it seems to be the light at the end of the tunnel here. They say they're going to open up things on May 20th, which is a couple weeks away. So we'll knock on wood.
Well, that's good. Yes, same here. I've got a Mitch Halleck hairstyle today.
I know that. Yeah, mine's just all natural, but you actually trimmed yours.
I did. Well, I got the special Mitch.
It's trendy.
The Mitch special, which was good. So I was pretty happy with that. So
yeah, the gray comes later on.
So have you had any pop culture purchases arriving at your doorstep this week?
Oh, my wife will tell you too many every day. Well, you know what it is? A lot of this stuff, and you'll get this too, we pre-order it months ago and literally out of sight, out of mind and forget all about it. Yes. And then what happens when you buy things on an impulse is you got to have it. You want to get it. You don't want to get sold out. So you'll buy it and you'll forget about it.
Yes.
And then the UPS or the FedEx man leaves something on the front porch from Amazon and you open it up and you go, what was I thinking about? So a lot of that happened. But no, mostly my stuff has been Baby Yoda things. That's the ratings go up when we say Baby Yoda. But that type of stuff, because it caught merchandising with their pants down when this came out because they didn't make anything that for Christmas. So a lot of people loved Baby Yoda. They fell in love with him on The Mandalorian, and there was no products. It's almost like the old days with the early bird special.
Yes.
So I had to order stuff and forgot about it, and then slowly little Yoda things have been popping up in the mail here and there. So
well, I pre-ordered for Christmas for Kelly the Baby Yoda by Mattel, which is the sort of half plush, half.
Oh, the interactive one?
No, not the interactive one. It was it's like an 11-inch. I think it's sort of a life-size one. That's supposed to be shipping in May, but I haven't. I just checked this morning to go, oh, hopefully they haven't forgotten about it because I've paid
life-size. It's not alive, but sure. No, it might be. I think it's really weird how they're catching up on certain things and not.
I've had things. I've bought a lot on eBay this week. And I did have my model Darth Vader TIE Fighter alive.
Yeah.
Except they packaged it in a paper bag. You know, one of those paper bag satchels.
Yeah, no.
So it arrived and it was like this thin.
No, really.
But luckily nothing was broken. The box.
Yeah, but the box probably shot.
The box could be folded back. It looked okay.
That's too bad. Why would they ship it like that? Whatever.
I don't know.
You don't know. Anyway.
Who knows?
I do, since all the stuff we've been talking about is movie related, Star Wars and your Star Wars model. I was talking about how much I missed the movies because this week was May the 4th.
Yes.
The unofficial Star Wars day. And I started, and they put on Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus, so that was nice. But I can't think of the summer, I can't think of May without thinking of movies and big blockbusters and how we grew up with every summer that Memorial Day weekend here in the States, Memorial Day anyway, and God knows probably Christmas at your end, 2 years earlier, they would have a big movie.
Yes.
And I remember,
the Legend of the Lone Ranger, which opened in 1981.
Yeah. Anyway, I have my Starlog magazine around here somewhere. I did. I was going to just bombard you with all the movies that came out. But before the big summer blockbuster, before the big thing that you had to line up for, I remember as a kid going to drive-in movie theaters. And the reason why this became a subject lately is because we're under quarantine. You can't go out. You can't mingle with people. You can't go to theater settings anymore. I said, too bad they don't have drive-in movie theaters like they used to. When I was a kid, there was drive-in theaters like every town or every other town had one. My hometown in West Haven, Connecticut, had the Bowl Drive-In. And it was, you'd go in, you had to wait till dusk. So it was a little dark out. And there was a playground up front. And what they did is they had these bumps in the blacktop, the asphalt. So your car would park up a little bit on a little bit of a hill. So it would be an incline. Yeah, they weren't all flat. So the idea is if you parked your car up like that on a edge, you'd see the movie better. So
Yes.
you'd be lifted upwards because, your car might, if it's flat and the screen's up here, you all got to lean over like that and try to look up. But if you tilt the car, you could get a better view of the thing. Or you would go, if you had a friend that had a station wagon or a pickup truck, and they'd park it backwards and the kids would lay in the flatbed, they'd get some pillows out, some blankets because it would get cool, or they would just open the top if you had a convertible, whatever. You would just watch the screen.
Yes.
It was all encompassing. But there was a playground. There was stuff to do when you were bored. You'd get out of your car. And before the movie started, they would have these great little animated concession cartoons.
Hi, folks. I'm Rico.
Oh, Nacho.
He's Peppy.
See?
You can find us at the concession stand in the lobby.
Along with all sorts of other tasty goodies.
See? Ricos Nachos, a refreshingly new and different snack discovery. Chock full of high-quality ingredients, crisp, fresh tortilla chips, covered with creamy aged cheddar cheese, topped off with zesty jalapeno pepper rings. Ricos Nachos, out of sight.
Remember, folks, we're the new star at the snack bar. Rico's Nachos, a new taste treat you can't beat.
See? Ricos Nachos, on sale at the snack bar now.
Hey, let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. And we'll all go get some candy. Dun, 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 dun. And it was cute.
That's pretty
because
good.
I remember, thank you. I remember walking over to the swing set and you'd be on the swing and there's big screens in front of you, 80 feet high. It's humongous.
Yes.
And there's this giant hot dog dancing around.
Yeah.
And, a little popcorn, dancing popcorn, dancing candy bars. But they would do double features too, because you got your money's worth. I don't know how they did it in Australia, but you paid by the carload. So you would pack as many people as you could. So it was me, my mom, my dad, my two sisters. So 5 people in a station wagon shoved in there, and you'd pay like $12 for the whole car.
Yes.
You go to the theater, and it was always double features. And I remember I saw Escape from Planet of the Apes. That was the very first drive-in I think I went to, and it was 72, 73, that movie came out. And it was crazy because you all just imagine being stuck with your family like we are now in quarantine, but you're all in a car and your dad's there and your mom's there. And what you would do is you'd put these speakers on the car window.
Yes.
And little tiny little speaker. I mean, it's like, I don't know what to recall as a bad speaker, but you'd hook it up, you'd roll your window up somewhat, and the speaker would be hanging in there, and you try to tune it in and listen, and the kids are screaming in the background. Your dad's getting mad. He's swapping at you like, get out of here, sit down, watch the movie. And then if you want to go open up to get some popcorn or go to the movies or go to the playground, you had to be careful of the window because you had this giant speaker thing.
Yeah, with those like those die-cast metal or whatever they were.
Yeah. And it was an adventure. I'll tell you that, man. Going to a drive-in was not just like going to buy a ticket and sitting down and watching a movie. It was an
adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the whole night. I mean, it was just something. And they don't have that. That they did change the technology. In the 80s, they changed it from that speaker to where you would tune in your radio.
Yes, and you got a little bit better quality sound, which was...
You got better quality sound.
Yep.
But then you'd have to leave your car on. So then people would get dead batteries. They would turn the car on and they'd turn the lights up, but they leave the radio going. So for a 2 or 3 or 4 hour double feature, now you've drained your car battery. So at the end of the night, you'd see the guy coming with the jumper cables to jump the cars up. But
we had in Australia, we had... in fact, I did a little bit of reading about drive-ins in Australia, and at the height of their popularity, we were third behind the United States and Canada with the amount of drive-ins. There were 300 drive-ins in Australia.
That's a lot,
especially when we've got. Look, back then there was probably a population of 8 million people or whatever. It wasn't a huge population back then. There was 2 in Geelong. In fact, there was one just up the road, the Geelong Village Drive-In, from which is sadly no longer there. There was one in Bellarine as well, which is now I think like a retirement village or a the repurposed land, unfortunately. There's a few in Victoria, the state that I live, that are still really popular. There's a
Oh, they still have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the Luna Drive-In, which is one of the earliest. They all started in the late 50s, early 60s, probably early 60s. And they're still pretty popular today.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just hipsters going. It's like, families and who want a unique outing. And now with digital projectors, great sound, stereo sound, it's a real visceral experience, I think, seeing it. So your first film that you remember was Planet of the Apes?
Escape from Planet of the Apes, which is the third one. Yeah.
My first, I remember this was it must have been 1978, I think. And at school, they were giving away, this is in primary school, they were giving away tickets to the drive-in to see Star Wars.
Oh,
and I'd seen Star Wars
at
the cinemas multiple times, but I got a pass to see it. And we went up and saw it. And I remember it as if it was only yesterday. Not only did that's where I got my good old Luke Skywalker poster with the Coca-Cola at the concession stand. Actually, why do they call it concessions?
I don't know. They've given up. I conceded.
I don't know either.
I never thought about it. Yeah, but they do call it the concession stand.
Yeah.
Right?
Anyway, so I remember getting that, but I
didn't know there was going to be a quiz today, Ed. No one told me about that.
I know, that's okay. It was the clearest summer night that I saw this on. Yeah. There was it was a beautiful star field. And I just remember during the Death Star battle, it was like they were going to fly off the screen into outer space. It was amazing.
You know what? You just reminded me something. Thunderstorms in the summertime are a big deal around here. And I remember that was a bad thing to happen at the drive-in because I remember going to see Jungle Book.
Yes.
The Disney cartoon Jungle Book. And there was storm clouds coming in. Where our drive-in was, it was off the main road, off the Boston Post Road, Route 1. And there was a Dunkin' Donuts out front, which is a donut shop, and you'd pull in and you'd go into the theater. But way behind it, so people weren't cheating and watching the movies, was the town dump, like the recycle area or whatever. Yeah. It was so there was nobody sitting back there. You had to be pretty hard up to cut through the town dump to sit there in an empty field to watch the movie if you really wanted to. But when you'd watch the screen, you'd see the beach in the distance and you'd see the storm start coming in over the ocean and you see the lightning and you're like, oh God, don't get here before the movie's over, because I want to see the movie. Because once the rain's coming down, and picture that, you're trying to watch a movie, you get the wiper blades going, the rain's pouring down, and and your dad's just pulling the hair out of his head, like, I want to go home. I got to work in the morning. Well, no, we want to see what happens to Jungle Book. Yeah. But they used to show a lot of schlocky movies, like B movies too, because I do remember the Bowl Drive-In. You would get Godzilla double features, and I remember seeing Godzilla versus Megalon and Godzilla versus something else, and they were just trash movies. And I can't imagine my poor mom and dad sitting through these movies. I think they would just be asleep in the front seat, and they would park the car backwards, and they'd drop the trunk open or whatever, and we'd all sit in the back watching it. But there were some really bad movies, and then they used to make
part of the fun, though. I think those schlocky because the picture quality. What?
It was Godzilla versus Megalon, and the second feature, because you could go to both movies. You could come early and sit through both, or if you just wanted to catch the second show, 7 to 9 would be Godzilla, and then from 9:30 to 11:30 would be the double feature, the second feature. And I remember we saw in the second feature was the giant spider invasion with William Shatner, and I'm gonna say Shelley Winters or some blonde actress, and there was a big. Have you ever seen the giant spider invasion?
I'm not a spider fan, so
no. So it was about Captain James Kirk was now the sheriff in a small town.
Yes,
Connie Stevens was in it. Connie Stevens, I think. or no, maybe it was Shelley Winters, whatever. It was one of those large
I'll
women
find
actors.
out.
You'll find out. So the spiders are everywhere. I mean, they're all over the place, and they're like tarantulas, and they're like they cocoon people up, and they're coming out of their mouths and stuff. And I remember one guy killing a big spider with a shoe, like James Bond did, and Shatner shooting at him and everything. It was really bad. And then the other trailers they were shown were more bad drive-in theaters. It was The Devil's Reign with John Travolta, I'm going to say Loretta Swit, and maybe Ernie Borgnine. And what it was is like these people are on a camping trip, and they're driving into the highway, but they drive by a bunch of satanic cult people, because who else would be out in the middle of the desert but satanic worshipers? And now,
unless you're at a drive-in, of course. Yep.
You know what's funny? Behind that dumpster, that junkyard, they did find a satanic cult in the 80s there, like the stars and some dead chickens, but that's another story. I lived in a weird town. So they're being chased across the desert roads now by this satanic cult, and it's Hot Lips Houlihan and Vinnie Barbarino in a car being chased by McHale from McHale's Navy. What a movie, man. And that was The Devil's Reign. I saw that one there in a drive-in theater too. But you know what they had to do to survive? Because once VCRs came out in the late 70s, early 80s, I think that was the decline of the drive-in theater, because people would say, oh, I can watch movies at home now. The Bowl drive-in theater turned into a porno theater, like pornography, but like maybe softcore, not like, I don't think it was hardcore. I'm not like good on my degrees.
I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, go on.
Okay, and whatever, he has a secret name. Anyway, I went there, the Dunkin' Donuts, with my dad. I remember being in high school, and he pulled up to get a coffee and a donut, and I'm in the front seat, and I don't know where we were going, but it was nighttime. And if you craned your head just right and looked up, you could see the movie screen, the drive-in theater, and you could always kind of see a little bit of what was on. And all I remember is like straining my neck to look over there, and we saw this giant 40, 50-foot buttocks gyrating up there on the screen doing something, and boobs, like breasts. And my dad's like, and we're both looking at this thing. He goes, oh, and he starts the car up. We better not look at that. Don't tell your mother that we saw that. That's not going. She's not going to be happy. But all the kids from high school would go to the dump behind a drive-in theater and park their cars. And even though there was no sound, you didn't really need to have much sound. Yeah. You could see sexual activity going on, primitive sexual practices going on back there on the big screen in the drive-in theater. Most of that might have been going on in the cars at the same time.
That's
too.
right.
That's another thing drive-in theaters had. Remember that scene in Grease?
Yes.
They had I don't know what she called it, but a passion pit or something like that.
Yep. Alone at the drive-in.
Yeah.
I do.
That's
a classic scene. I was going to say that my sister was lived on campus at Monash University, and I remember spending a day or a night with her to hang around with her at uni, and you could look out. She didn't have a TV or anything like that, but you could look out in one of the corridors in a stairwell to a drive-in across the park. And they had Superman the movie playing. This would have been
you were watching that.
This would have been 80s, and I knew it off by heart. I didn't need to hear it because it was obviously a couple of kilometers away. But I sat there, and that's a long film. But I sat there and watched most of it. It was a postage stamp size by how I could see it. But
I remember seeing The Empire Strikes Back. Now, there was another drive-in theater, the Red and the Blue drive-in theater in Milford, Connecticut, which is a little bit farther away from me. One side of the parking lot would have a drive-in screen, and then the other side of the parking lot would have a drive-in screen. So when you came in, you said, which movie did you want to go see? And you would pull into that particular parking lot. So if your movie was bad and boring, you could always turn around and look at the movie that was playing behind you. And I remember I took my sister, Debbie drove, and I wanted to see The Empire Strikes Back because it was in the drive-in theater. Yep. And the reason why I wanted to do it is because I could sneak in a tape recorder. And I brought in a tape recorder with batteries, and I put it up near the speaker, and I taped the audio from The Empire Strikes Back, which was, illegal. You can't do that. You can't do that in a theater. And I remember having The Empire Strikes Back on cassette and I think I'm deaf in my right ear because I used to go home and put that cassette in there and put my ear to the speaker and listen to The Empire Strikes Back again and again before I'd go to bed at night. And I'd also hear my sister yelling on the recording, like, what are you doing? What, you want some popcorn? You want some candy? But that was one of the times I went there. But then during the weekend, they would turn it into a flea market, and you would like that because what you can't show a movie during the day, a drive-in at night. So they would make a giant flea market out of the drive-in theater because they had all the spots for people to park their cars. Why not? And I remember going with my grandfather and getting comic books and fishing rods on a drive-in theater parking lot. And then it's sad now because I think about it, they're all gone. That theater I'm telling you now is a grocery store and a liquor store. They just took it down. And there was another beautiful one in Branford. That's just a bunch of old folks' homes now, like a senior community.
Yeah,
they're all gone. I don't think there's more than a couple hundred left in the United States at all.
Well, there's not too many left in Australia, but they are still there, and they're pretty popular. And they do tend to show a mix of like new releases
Classics.
and also classic films. That's what is what gets.
What do you think that would have been a huge hit now? I mean, if they were open right now and Hollywood was still putting movies out, I would go to the drive-in to see the Black Widow or whatever new movie was supposed to come out. I'd be in there,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right?
Just for the, I mean, you got that nostalgic feel of doing that, and just going to the movies, would be exciting. And in the past, you were saying this is before you had video cassettes and things like that. You could actually buy movies on Super 8, and I've got my
oh yeah, that's right.
I've got my Super 8 cinema projector there, which is a Chinon SP330, and we were thinking, well, how in isolation, we're not sure how much longer. Hopefully, the movie theaters are going to open up again soon. I was reading this morning that Tenet, the new Christopher Nolan is still scheduled to open and
in July,
and we've got like Wonder Woman, and there's some great things coming out.
August,
But how can you sort of recreate that movie like feel? And probably of course we can. Most people have got 4K giant TVs and whatever, but there is something fun about watching cinema that is projected.
Now, how did you project those? Because my dad had one, but we had one with no sound. And I don't know why, but we had no sound. The only cassettes we had, or the reels, was the Apollo moon landing. We had that one. And we had a Donald Duck cartoon with Chip and Dale, but there was no sound. I don't know why.
Okay, so just to let you know, you can in the probably late 60s through definitely the 70s through to the very early 80s, you could actually buy movies on Super 8 and project them at home, and they were very truncated versions. So you would get they were like a 15-minute version, edited together, and you could watch that and project it on the reasonably big screen.
Sheet.
And they came in black and white, they came in silent, and they came in color as well. So mine's
did they buy those at stores, or you had to mail away from them?
A bit of both. You could there was a lot of mailaways, or you could sell them at like Kodak photo labs and things like that.
I think Sears department store used to have a section of Super 8
They probably
movies.
would have had them near their televisions and things like that.
Yeah, I remember that a bit. Yeah.
So I've got well, it's not a huge collection, but it's a pretty big collection. So I thought I'd show you some of these things.
Yeah.
Because these might be some things that you might want to do. You can on eBay, you can pick up like a sound projector for anything from 50 to a couple of $1,000s for some really high-end ones, but that one's probably about $300 if you're interested. And you can pick up a variety of different movies for 10 to my elusive Empire Strikes Back one, which I still can't get, which is a couple of $100. I bought a projector screen for $10. Like it's a metal one, but with the wood paneling. It looks like wood, but it's actually metal, typical 70s, and a projector stand, and you can set it up and watch it. So I've got
I got a question. I remember the death of those things would sometime the movie would freeze up and it would melt on the bulb. I remember you'd be watching a movie else and you see
that's really for those higher end ones. When you think about I always remember that scene in Gremlins, when the science professor is projecting that.
Yep.
and things like that. But
you gotta let the bulb cool down or something. I remember there was a big deal. My dad.
it does run very hot. But I picked up a few of these. So these are. Hang on, I'll try and there we go.
Look, Disneyland. Yeah,
There,
nice.
Disneyland. We've got an evening at Disneyland.
Oh, fireworks and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got Main
The
Street
parade?
Electrical.
And they're all sound, right?
Yep, these are all sound.
Nice.
I've got
Wow, you got a lot of Disneyland stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and more attraction.
Now, how much do those go for on eBay?
I picked these up for about $15 each.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is pretty good.
I can't imagine how much were they when they were new. Probably about the same. Right?
I would.
10?
I don't know. Actually, it doesn't. They probably would have.
Well, I'm just saying back in the 70s, probably like $10, I guess.
So, and then you could also get these. You could also get trailers. So these are. It's a bit hard to see, but this is a trailer to. There we go.
Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon.
Nice.
And I've got a trailer to. This one's a bit dodgier, but you want to get it. It's hang on. Where we go? There we go.
Mad Max. Supergirl. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that was like 1984. So they were still bringing out these.
Wow.
And then they'll bring out lots of movies. So I've been trying to get my favorite movies from the 70s and watching them. So we've got Logan's Run.
Logan's Run. I saw that in the theaters. Yeah.
Okay.
Buck Rogers. Yeah, I didn't see that in the theaters.
Yeah.
Jaws. Nice.
Yeah.
You know what they do with Jaws and Martha's Vineyard, where they filmed the movie? We used to go on vacation with the kids. They have a drive-in theater in the water. They put up a screen. Yeah, they put up a screen in this little lagoon, and you could either park or you could take your boat out there, and they projected above the water so you can watch it. That's kind of cool. I remember driving. That's
the ultimate in sense around, isn't it? You know,
they have it on July 10th weekend, which is the weekend. What's my birthday? But it's also in the movie. That's when the Amity Fair is coming. What is the Amity?
There's something for me to travel towards. I think that'll be really good.
If you want to go, I could tell you it's so funny because when you see the movie and then you walk around parts of Martha Vineyard and you know where they filmed it, it's like, oh, there's where he made the signs, there's where he put the town hall, there's where they went out, there's the lagoon, there's where the ferry boat comes in. I mean,
that'd be awesome.
That's
a whole nother episode, Jaws, but we'll get on
Jaws. Is definitely. Yeah.
This is the first Super 8 film that I ever got.
Get Out.
Yep.
Look at that.
Now, they had two parts to Star Wars.
Yeah.
So this one sort of doesn't include the Death Star battle, but basically, trying to cut down a 2-hour movie to 15 minutes, some are really successful and actually are really quite good. Others don't make much sense. Sorry?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Did they ever do a Raiders one? No, you have it?
I'll get to it in a second. So,
all right.
So I've got this one.
Close Encounters, yeah.
Which we watched the 4K version of that the other day, which was fantastic. Another favorite of mine.
Superman, the movie. Yep. We should do a show on the Superman, the movie.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Okay. The Black Hole. Yeah, I've never sat through that whole thing.
Really? It's on Disney Plus. Remember, I think we've had this conversation.
As soon as Disney Plus started, I went to watch it, and it has that weird overture in the beginning of it that was in the theaters. It just gets really dull. I'm sorry, I just get bored with it when they find. It is,
but there's some beautiful matte painting. There's some beautiful matte paintings by. I'm not
Harrison
sure
Ellen Shaw.
Yeah, and I don't know if Peter Ellen Shaw was still working at that stage, but they were amazing.
Oh no, it's beautiful stuff, but it just fall. Who's
the
bad guy? Maximilian Schell.
Yes. We've got
it's just ponderous. It just goes on.
I know.
I don't know. Smokey and the Bandit. Oh, the only other movie in 1977 we had to go see every other time.
Yeah. We have got that one which we showed last
Battlestar,
episode, Galactica, which I said was only part 2, unfortunately.
There's a silly question. There was never any TV shows, right?
Not that I'm aware of. Jaws 2.
Jaws 2 is not a bad movie.
Look, I think it's a really good. It's a really good film, but it's because Jaws was such a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's going to pale a little bit in comparison to it, but I think it's really good. The score by John Williams, if you ask Ron Longo, it's it's a great score. So I've got that.
Wait,
Here you
John
go.
Williams did the score for Jaws 2?
Yes, he did.
I did not know that. That's great. That's that poster I was telling you about
Yeah.
that I really like. Look at that.
Yeah, and it's got this one's got.
Is
on
there
the back.
2 of those or just one?
Just one. Just
And
one.
it's only 15 minutes?
This one probably goes for about.
That was just on here the other day.
Yeah, it's probably about 17 minutes. I think that one. So
They showed Raiders of the Lost Ark. They brought back the Sunday night movie here on CBS.
oh yes,
'Cause they're all
yes.
Home Alone. Yeah, and everyone's like here. And they had Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I think this week's a big 80s movie. I can't remember what it is. I don't know. Clash of the Titans. So who knows?
There's
Oh, I figured you'd have that. I just watched that again the other day, first time in 30 years.
yeah, it's a great film. And my last
It's a
one,
hard movie there. There's some hard
is
scenes in that.
Grease.
Oh yeah, Grease Lightning. Look at that.
So they brought out a stack. You can, they're varying prices. The Star Wars come up quite a bit.
Yeah,
You can
I
get them for
suppose.
$30 to $50 or something like that. And I've got to say they're quite unique collectibles. One thing that does happen is that they start to get a bit pink, the pinkish.
Yeah, the emulsion on the film.
So,
nitrate.
but they're still watchable. The sound is really quite good, and it's great fun. So if you do that, what we've done in the past, we've invited people over on New Year's Eve. We'd set up the projector. We'd have a set because they're only short, so you can watch a stack of them in the night. We have popcorn, we have hot dogs outside. We have a trivia in between because it takes to watch it back. It takes to rewind it. It takes about it's not as quick to rewind it. So you've got options there. So it's really good fun to do.
When did those start to die out?
It was once video cassettes came out, even though they were quite expensive. Like I remember buying Raiders of the Lost Ark and that was cheap at $49.95.
Oh yeah, no, that was that was the one that broke all records because they lowered the price. Raiders was like a staggering only $29.99. It was like, oh my God, you could own a movie for $30. Because prior to that, I remember my birthday present was getting Star Wars on VHS. I didn't have a VCR. We had to rent a VCR for the weekend, and I got to watch it. And then you brought it back, and eventually we saved up because VCRs were $1,000 or something.
Yep.
They were crazy money in the early '80s, But they'd have a place called like Rent-A-Center, and you could rent a VCR. You could rent video games. You would try them out, and then you'd bring them back, and that was an '80s thing. I remember.
We had to rent
movies.
We rented a VCR so I could record the making of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Back in '81, and then
I have that still. Yeah.
And then my parents bought me for my birthday, and I've got I found that going through my dad's stuff.
You found the receipt?
I found the receipt. He bought Far Lap, the movie, which is about
a horse race.
He was in that movie. They filmed it. Not Kirk Douglas. That's the man from Snowy River. It was filmed in Geelong around here, and my dad was an extra in it.
Oh, no kidding! I saw Far Lap when I was a kid. Yeah.
So he bought that, but they bought direct from the video store, brand new Empire Strikes Back, which I still have on it was $110 in 1980 something, and I watched that like you would not believe. If I find the receipt, I've got it somewhere. I'll put a picture up of it.
I have mine right around the corner in the garage. I don't know why. I keep them in a cold place, but I have my Empire, and I was so mad because you want everything to be perfect, like the spines to match up. And the Empire Strikes Back, I think it's a light blue, but the letters are in red. No, the letters are in white. It's white, but Star Wars was in.
Star Wars was a smaller case. Well, it was in Australia. It was a smaller.
But it was that truncated Star Wars, the one that's in perspective, the logo. You know that it's like a pyramid shape. That's on the side of the box, and that drove me crazy. I was like, that doesn't look like the movie title, like it should look. But whatever.
Well, that's like the 4K discs of. So I bought all the new Star Wars movies on 4K. Yeah. So it's all from A New Hope up to.
Oh, you bought the box set?
No, I didn't buy the box set, but I bought. It was cheaper to buy them all individually, and I didn't really want to get the.
I thought so too. Yeah.
There was nothing really extra in the book, that I to get.
They sold
it was like $100 difference.
Yeah, it was over at the Best Buy. It was an exclusive, and it looks, big box, says Star Wars Legacy or whatever, the Skywalker Saga, but it was like $275 or whatever, and you could buy the individual movies for cheaper than the big pretty box. I'm like,
yep. So I got the individuals, but what bugs me is that so all of them up to The Last Jedi, they all match. Then Rise of Skywalker, different. I'm thinking,
why?
I don't know.
Don't you know that we have OCD? That's why I have these books behind me. They're like, when they change the spine and they do a white spine with red letters, I'm like, no, it has to be black with red because all the rest.
I know.
Collect them all. We want them all to be the same. It's a little bit of control we have over.
That's right. I understand.
That was a good one there. I mean, did you ever have you know what I had?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of movies, I just got rid of them, and I know people are going to get mad because they go, "Why did you throw those out?" The movie theater that I saw all my big movies as a kid, the Orange Showcase Cinema, I saw Star Wars, Raiders, King Kong, Superman 2 in 1981. Every movie until that theater closed. The last one I saw was The Shadow with Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that is another favorite of mine. Yes.
They knocked the theater down, and then they made it like a Yale medical building. But when they demolished it, all the seats, all the reclining seats, and they were throwing them away. And I went down there and I said to the guy, "Could I have some?" He said, "Yeah, we're throwing these out." I had 4 of them. And I always planned on making a movie theater. I said, when I own a house one day, I'm going to set up in the basement a movie theater, and I'm going to have the actual movie theater seats that I sat in to watch all my good movies.
Yeah.
And they were at my grandmother's place, and the cellar got water in it, so 2 of them got moldy. I had to throw them out. But just until like last year, I had the other 2 seats here in my garage, and I had kept planning to build something down here with a big screen, and I'd sit in my original movie theater seats. But alas, they were just getting old. They were just getting moldy. So I just threw them away. But to me, that was the movies that I remember, because the seat was like a red leather backing with a cushion, and then the seats would fold up. Do you remember that when you go to the movie theater, you had to put the seat down? They weren't like they are now with recliners or anything like that. Yep. There was no cup holders or anything. No, it was just a seat, and they would go up, and you sit down. And I remember there was still chewing gum underneath the seats, and everybody was like, "That's gross." I go, "That's what makes it so great." That's what kids were like.
It's authentic. It's like the price sticker on a Star Wars figure.
Yeah. You can't take that out. That's part of the magic of it all. But
that's cool. I've actually got 4 cinema seats. I reckon we
you saved them?
Yeah, I've got 4. Yeah, we must be living parallel lives, because I've got 4 cinema seats from the Cryo Cinema. So what happened was the Cryo Cinema closed. It was a beautiful theater.
Yeah,
turned into a shopping mall.
Yeah.
They ended up at Geelong Repertory Theatre Company, where I've done shows and things like that, and those chairs got upgraded. So they said, "Does anyone want?" So I got a set of 4.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
And it's from. I'll take a photo of them. They're out in our garage. They're super dusty, but they're great. And that's where I saw E.T., Empire Strikes Back, Mad Max 2, all these classic, Condor Man, all these classic, all these classic films. Maybe that's not a classic, but and I, odds are I didn't sit on those exact chairs. But
I know. These weren't the exact ones I sat on either, but it was the thought they could have been.
Yes. And I suppose, that's a thing about, drive-in theaters. There's that nostalgia. One thing that is really good, if you love drive-in theaters, and obviously you want to go to a drive-in theater. We were mentioning that scene in Greece. There's lots of great movie references with projectors and things like that. But I was thinking back to Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World, and they've got
they have that restaurant,
Sci-Fi Dine-In, and
that you sit in.
Kelly and I have gone a few times to that. Where basically, I'll find a picture, but basically, you've got sort of like fake cars that you sit in and eat, and they're basically showing non-stop B-movie trailers,
horror movie, sci-fi things. Yes, you're right. That they do have that down there. I should have taken the kids there when we just went in January. I remember. So
that might be something to do once the Disney parks, when they get back
Shanghai
open.
just opened.
I saw that,
today.
and it sold out
in 10 minutes.
That's on my list. That is on my list.
Oh, you haven't been there?
No, we've been to Japan, Hong Kong. We have the only ones we haven't been to are Paris and Shanghai. So, because the Pirates of the Caribbean ride there looks absolutely amazing, and so does the Tron light cycle ride. Say,
the last time I went to a drive-in theater, I took my kids.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Cape Cod. It was a double feature. It was The Dark Knight, and the first movie was like a rated G cartoon. So it's like, who put that on a double bill? Because I remember we sat there and the kids watched the cartoon, and then they were getting sleepy, and I wanted to watch The Dark Knight, which is not a real 7 or 8 year old kid friendly movie.
No.
But they fell asleep by the time it was over, and I remember watching the whole thing there.
I can't even remember the last.
I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
There was a special. Yeah, they had a special showing here in Southington, Connecticut, and I went with Glenn Nelson from High Adventure.
Yes.
And a bunch of us, we all went to see Raiders. But it wasn't that, the screen wasn't that big. It wasn't like the old days. It wasn't well done.
Yeah, unfortunately that heyday is over, but you can still find them out.
I would be surprised if they start coming back, honestly, with this whole isolation and virus, quarantine. It's not that hard to make a drive-in theater. All you need is a big empty parking lot or a side of a building, actually.
Yeah.
And a projector. And when I went to Disney World in January, they projected clips of the Star Wars movies on the side of the buildings there with special effects and fireworks and the whole thing. It was just like being at a drive-in theater again. It was phenomenal, though. I mean, because you don't realize how big a movie is until you see it on a screen like that. I mean, everyone's so used to these megaplexes where they don't look much bigger than someone's basement. I hate when I go to the theater and it's like a little tiny 20-foot screen. I want to see the big 1,000-foot gigantic explosions, like I had as a kid, because it really does. It changed the overall experience of the movie.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When you're like almost like the big IMAX theaters, I will go and pay the extra money to see the new movies at the IMAX theater just because it's so big and the sound is there and you're like into the movie.
I think it is. It's that shared experience you're also having with a group of people. Those midnight screenings are always amazing. The screenings with the symphony orchestras that they have. They do those live are an amazing things. So, cinema. I would say cinema is certainly not dead. As
it's not going to go away. No.
But remember, you can recreate it at home a little bit and have a little bit of a nostalgia hit if you want, and it doesn't cost you too much. And it's a good, pretty unique collectible as well, because it's not. I suppose it's not a mainstream. There are obviously people collect everything, but if
you could have filmed your own home movies. Wasn't that the whole point of those things?
Thank you for reminding me. I did a number. In fact, what I will do is I'll put up.
Ed Dollister's home movies as a kid?
Well, no. I made movies I made Super 8 movies. My parents won a trip.
Oh, yeah?
Here we go. My parents won a trip to Fiji in 1981.
Is that like Fiji?
Yeah, but it's Fiji. It's how we Aussies call it. All right.
Fiji?
Yeah. Anyway, it's like, how do you say caramel? Caramel. Yeah.
Caramel.
And Craig. Why do you call people Craig? That's what I don't get. It's Craig.
C-R-A-I-G. Here we go off there's the 2-hour mark. C-R-A-I-G, the name Craig?
Craig.
Yeah. Craig.
Anyway.
Craig.
They won a trip to Fiji, and with duty free, they bought this projector, and they bought me a Super 8 camera.
Nice.
And I started making films in the backyard. I made 2 Indiana Jones
porno
films.
Movies I saw on the screen. No, that's
no. I made two Indiana Jones films. One was Indiana Jones and the Curse of the Maltese Cross. Which, if I've got footage of it, I'll put it up now. And then I also made Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. And this was before the Temple of Peril ride at Paris Disney. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember making, my friend Jason Chitty was he was Mola Ram, and we made his headgear out of you know, the polystyrene stuff, you know, box inserts or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
So we made we made
Styrofoam.
the headgear out of that. I got my parents to buy some sheep hearts.
What?
And sheep hearts.
Yeah, I know what they are, but why? What is
Well,
wrong with you?
because-
Don't tell me you
because
ripped out a heart.
Yep. He ripped
A
out
sheep's heart?
Yep.
What is wrong with you Australian kids? How old were you, like 12?
I was doing this before the Raiders guys did, you know, the
this is before Temple of Doom?
this
No.
this is right after Temple of Doom. This was
Okay.
1985. And then I made my big
Nasty.
budget Off the Planet, which was a 16-minute basically a 16-minute science fiction film.
Is it? Isn't that the full length of the film?
Well, no, they used to come in 3 minutes. So you'd buy them, you'd do your footage, you'd mail it away, and then you would. In fact, thinking of that, if you haven't seen it already, what I would recommend is you go out and watch the J.J. Abrams movie Super 8.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a great film, and we watched it again
You
the
know,
other
is
day.
he the guy that got his start because he had to transfer Spielberg's Super 8 movies? Was that
sounds
J.J.
vaguely
Abrams?
familiar to me, yes.
I think J.J. Abrams got to start as they answered an ad. Yeah, because Grunberg told me that story, that they got a story that Kathleen Kennedy might have hired him to, she was Spielberg's assistant, to transfer or clean up his old Super 8 movie. I think it was called Firefly or something like that, Firelight. And they did. They would go home and they'd go and clean it up, and they'd spool, what is sprockets?
Yes.
They cut the clips together. I guess there
Yep.
was like cuts in the film, and they'd
Yep.
mend them. And then that's how J.J. Abrams, I'm going to say he got his early start in movies with that.
Look, you're probably,
wrong.
I think you're probably right
I think
there.
that
So,
is, yeah.
and that shows his love of, you know, that. So, anyway, so that's
By
Super
the way,
8.
before we
Yep.
sign off,
Yeah.
did we get the 1,000 subscribers yet? Because
Not yet. We're close. Oh, you
This is
found
not
it
the-
again.
oh yeah. When I've been cleaning up slowly, I'm getting the comic books in order. Remember, I will eat this 1989 Batman cereal unopened since 1989 by the Ralston Purina Company, makers of fine dog food. It has no tropical oils in it. I don't know if they can see that. That's good, because you don't want to have tropical oils.
No,
And I will eat a bowl of that live on camera when this happens. So.
that would be good. I must say thank you very much to everyone who has already subscribed. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, oh no, you don't want to turn to the dark side, but do subscribe. Write a comment. What about your thoughts on Super 8 movies or going to the drive-in? We'd love to hear your comments there. So please do that. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We've got triple. If only I.
Like
Hang on,
father?
Hold on.
Like son. It's the all. Join me. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
We're going to do a whole show like this.
Why do I feel like I look a bit like Rick Moranis in Spaceballs, but anyway. Quick, go to ludicrous speed. Anyway, this is Ed Dollister.
This is Mitch Halleck.
And you've been watching Mitch and Ed's Excellent Adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.